The Cowboys conspiracy theory has hit the big time. I'm Mike Fisher reporting from Oxnard, California, Dallas Cowboys training camp here. The Thursday session complete, and so that's 1, 2, 3 days in the books. We'll get into what's happened and what's about to happen over the course of this quick evening broadcast with you. Get on, be good, fish heads, and bring something of information to the table, please. Yes, this is a setup where we get to review what happened and we get to preview what's going to happen. We'll do 3 major fish for dinner items here on Fish for Six tonight. Item number 1, ding, the conspiracy theory. Cowboy fans, you've talked about it a lot. We've talked about it a lot. This week hit ESPN. Adam Schefter went with it. I think he was on 105 through the Fan, and he said he kind of made it sound like it was a fact that the motivation for Jerry Jones to delay these big contracts, we may be looking at 30 days now before we get traction. It could happen in 30 minutes, but when it comes to Micah Parsons, we've seen the Dak, we've seen the CeeDee Lamb, we saw Zach Martin before that, on and on and on. It's been happening here for more than a decade and a half. The theory that you've espoused is that Jerry does this on purpose, not just because he wants to see Leafs fall, not just because he is cheap, not just because they have trepidation about writing that big check, but because there's money in the publicity of waiting every day. And the way Schefter put it, he said, they can cost themselves, I think he was using Dak as an example, could have signed Dak for 53 at one point. They waited, signed him for 60 million APY, and Schefter putting a number on it says maybe they got $7 million worth of publicity out of that. It's not a new theory. It's the first time I've heard somebody in the national media say it, and it's the first time anybody put a number on it. I don't know how you do that, the number part. I know this. If that's really part of Jerry's thinking, and I'm boots on the ground, if that's really Jerry's thinking, is that he gains millions of dollars worth of press and that's worth it, and he does that without calculating how many of you get tired of it, how many of you tune out, how many of you ask me to do a show like we did the other day, hey, can we go contract free zone? We don't want to talk about it, we want to hear it, we're sick of it. And I know that Jerry's talked over the years about, as many have, any publicity is good publicity, but it's not true. And it's not true, and he's got to know it's not true. The detrimental nature of doing things this way in terms of the court of public opinion, I don't care how many segments Get Up does on your show, if it causes people to not just be angry at the Cowboys or hate the Cowboys, but be apathetic towards the Cowboys. And I don't spend a lot of time, how many people are in the stands? I'm not obsessed with that, but this for the last 3 days has looked like apathy to me. So I would find it strange. I wouldn't dare try to tell Jerry Jones how to market. He's one of the best to ever done it, not just in sports. I wouldn't tell him how to do business. He's one of the best to ever do it, and not just in sports. But the idea that you can gain $1 by waiting a day of publicity, while ignoring that you could gain $2 of publicity by signing him, and you could gain even more dollars in terms of capital, winning capital, by having him on the field practicing. The idea that the Cowboys have that backwards would be startling to me. But now this has gone from just you and me talking about it. Now this has gone all the way up to ESPN. So heads up, it's going to get some traction. Item 2, ding. They will put the pads on in the next couple of days, and that's the next level of what we really get to see who's who. We've made some instant judgments on what we see out of the running backs. Jadon Blue absolutely has that zip they're talking about, and we've seen Javonte Williams, certainly on the first day of practice, get the mini bulk of first-team snaps. But until the pads go on, we don't really get to see all the things we want to see there. We've seen the offensive line look cohesive. I think that's valid. We've seen the Dak Prescott to definitely to George Pickens and to CeeDee Lamb too. That is clicked. On day one, the defense absolutely stood out, from Marshawn Nealon to Mozzie Smith and others. We'll see how that continues when pads go on in the next couple days, the next level of judgment. And item 3, ding. We spent a lot of time chronicling every single thing that every single Cowboy coach and scout and front office guy and player, fans, media think. We chronicle every single bit of it, and it all matters. Otherwise, we wouldn't do it. But I do want to caution us on the overreaction of comments that create the impression of ugliness or bitterness or hatred, and then what its actual impact is on anything. And I'll give you some samples here, and I'm interested in yours too. I'll review these comments as we go through the evening and the morning. George Pickens the other day said, yeah, it's nice, I'm paraphrasing, it's nice to be able to run good routes in a good offense, in a smart offense, a well-designed offense. Really? So George isn't done taking pokes at the Steelers. Cowboys, of course, traded for him from Pittsburgh. I'm not saying I'm a big fan of Arthur Smith, who was the offensive coordinator there last year, but Arthur Smith doesn't know what he's doing. That's not true. He doesn't know how to design an offense. That's not true. And so, this bitterness and this pettiness that gets shot back and forth between Pittsburgh and the Steelers and George Pickens, it makes headlines. What does it mean? Same thing with Micah versus Jerry. In the end, I guarantee you, there will be a press conference and they will hug and they will smile and they will giggle and they'll pretend that they didn't say anything and they'll downplay the things they did do. I take you back to Zeke Who, which is the most famous example of this in Cowboys history. And there's a lot of Cowboys history with conflicts with players. Tex Schramm was famous for conflicts with players. And players didn't love Tex Schramm. They do have affection for Jerry, but when they're in a dispute, they're in a dispute, and they end up saying so. So Dak says things about not being here forever, as he did last year. And CeeDee Lamb says he's offended when Jerry says no urgency, as was the case last year. And now you've got Diggs and Micah both expressing some unhappiness with Jerry taking shots at them, and you have Jerry taking shots at them, and all of us are trying to weigh the heaviness of it all. And the heaviness of it all in the end is nothing. What matters is the guy is or isn't on the practice field. That matters. And of course, we have started the week with Micah as a hold-in of sorts. But all the spitting back and forth, and all the finger wagging, and all the tongue wagging, it ends up going away the day that Jerry hands him a check. And you'll remember Zeke Who over the course of the conversation. This, by the way, reminiscent of the David M. comment this year, where Jerry pretended he didn't know who Micah's agent was. He knows exactly. He knows just because he hadn't been calling him over the course of the last 3 months doesn't know he knows exactly who he is. He knows exactly what he does. He knows everything about him. He just said it. I thought it was somewhere between silly and stupid, but it wasn't true. Remember Zeke Who? Jerry, over the course of that contract negotiation with Ezekiel Elliott, tried to pretend that Ezekiel Elliott wasn't important to the team. So, what are you going to do with Zeke? Zeke Who? Jerry said. And everybody got their panties in a wad. Zeke got a little bit offended. And then, weeks later, Zeke comes back from his workouts in Cabo. They have a press conference. Here's a big check. And not only does Zeke Who go away in terms of an insult, the brilliance of the Cowboys marketing team is they turned Zeke Who into a t-shirt that you could buy across the street in the pro shop. So let's not put too much weight on the ugly comments back and forth. Let's put some weight on pads when we get rolling on that in a couple days. Let's put some weight on the real money when the real money comes. And then let's consider that the Cowboys really are putting marketing and public relations first ahead of football by purposely delaying a contract that it would benefit the football team if it was done now. We hang out with the Cowboys in Oxnard, and we hang out with you. Go find us. Google Mike Fisher Athlon Cowboys, and that's how you can find all our digital print work. And thank you for being with us here. We will see you every morning, 8 a.m. Dallas time, every evening, 6 p.m. Dallas time, as we zip back and forth between DFW and Oxnard and the Cowboys on the road in the preseason. In Oxnard with the Cowboys, Fish out.